Greetings, Patrick here. 8 questions with, and happy Friday, everybody. Happy Friday. Yeah. Um, Glad to be here. Yesterday, as you noticed, that we did not have a show. That one got pushed back. We got to push that one back to December 5th. So Spooky Kisses. Right now, they're right in the middle of filming their second season. Spooky Kisses Haunts. They're filming the second season, so they're on the road. So they are traveling. I saw their schedule. Yeah, they're going to be busy from now till basically probably like the first 2 weeks of November. So they're going to be swamped. So I know it sort of sucks that we didn't know about that a little sooner, but we did manage to get something out of it. We did get a show out of it. So we actually got two shows. Um, there's our good friend Steven from the House of Horrors. He and I did a watch party yesterday, and we watched Gothic Harvest. Um, but we're gonna let Steven take the lead on that because he'll be interviewing one of the leading ladies of that movie, Mary Alice Reisner. He'll be interviewing her and Echo from. They'll be talking to her soon. I will be reviewing that film for my 31 Days of October, along with 30 other things. Hi, Sue. How are you? How are you? Um, let's see. Steven says he watched Slaughterhouse. Slaughterhouse? Uh, okay. It was good up to one point. Okay. I think that was about sloths, if I'm not mistaken, right? Killer sloths or something like that. Yeah, I can't even imagine. Um, yeah, we're making our way through our putting up our 31 days of Halloween. We just got done watching and reviewing our latest film, and we got our other one sitting on there downstairs. We're watching that one, and after this show is over tonight at 10 o'clock, I'll be joined by the mighty Casey of Interweb Kaiju, and he and I will be doing a watch party, Have Cheetah Will watch party with the amazing bulk. That's been being passed around the community for quite a while. I heard that movie. You know, I was actually scared of that movie. I was sitting there going, "Man, this is the one movie I don't want to watch this movie. This movie's going to be god awful. It's going to be horrible. It's going to be like the worst thing I've seen." But rest assured, after last night, I'm actually looking forward to seeing the Amazing Bulk. I am no longer afraid of the Amazing Bulk. I'm actually looking forward to it because I do not think it will be as bad as the movie I saw last night. Um, I don't think it'll be as bad as the movie I saw last night. Last night was I can't even begin to tell you. We reviewed it. We reviewed it. It'll be on our 31 Days of Halloween. But yeah, I sort of felt like I needed to see the Amazing Bulk. Uh, well, before we get to there, though, but we have our guest for tonight, our friend Debbie, also known as Doc Dan, will be coming in to visit us, and we'll be talking about all sorts of good things, science. We're going to talk about music. We're going to talk about um, just a whole bunch of slew of topics. Debbie is also the younger sister of our fellow community member John Henderson, aka DK from Doomsday Crypt, who you probably have watched many times with Beatrice Bopple from Nightmare on Elm Street, DK and the Bee. And then the other show that he does is DK and the Schwag, where he hangs out with Big Brett Wagner, the Lost Leatherface, and they chop it up every week. So and this is Debbie is his sister, and we will be talking to her about life. We'll probably hear a couple of funny stories about John, that's for sure. Um, that'll be fun. Um, but it seems like caring for people runs in the blood. Debbie is a counselor and she is she's in the medical field. Holy cow, look who the cat dragged in. But it could be, but we haven't seen him for so long. we have not seen this person for so long. We just got to make sure it's the right person because it might not be. We got to make sure. We haven't seen this guy for so long. I don't know. He could be trying to. Let's see. Now, if this isn't him, we'll know it because he won't know the password. But we'll make sure because we have not seen him in months. Um, I'm thinking that maybe he and his lovely wife have been busy during convention season. It is. It is who it I. It is Rick from Underground Sub Rosa in the house. And that's funny. He walks in here because I was actually going to be pinging him too much longer because I was actually hoping that we would be able to talk to Rick in December so he could tell us what's going on with Underground Sub Rosa. So in case you guys are looking for Christmas presents for your cinephile or gore ahead, you can go and talk to Rick um, from Underground Sub Rosa. And speaking of gifts, I got an early one today. I got an early one. Um, my sister sent me season 6 of Game of Thrones. Um, Her and I were talking about it yesterday. I was telling her about the deals I got at the book at the library, and I said I was only short one season out, and I was looking forward to it at the library. Well, she decided not to wait, and she did two things with one shot. With this, one, she got me the 6th season of Game of Thrones, but two, she got me an all region copy of Game of Thrones. My DVD, my Blu-ray player is region one only. I do believe that it should play on there, but if not, I need to get an all region player anyway. So get my ass up and running. Yes. Yeah, I will be pinging you, Rick. I did for sure. I definitely like you to have. I like to have you come on in December. I'm also going to be reaching out to our good friend Christy Adams from Nightmare Toys and see if she'll come out and hang out with us too, because we always like to see what you guys are doing and see if we can help your business out a little bit, raise a little bit of awareness. What's been going on? All right. So this is our last show of the month here in September. So next week, let me tell you what's going on next week real quick while we wait for our guests. And please share us out if you will. So next Tuesday, we have actor, producer, writer Rob Merritt will be with us. He's got a new film called The Cross that we'll be talking about. He's also in the new film You Should Have Killed Me. He's also written a terrific science fiction film called Amelia 2.0. We have a lot to talk with Rob on the 3rd of October. On the 4th, we're talking with actress Heather Harlow will be with us on the 4th of October. On the 5th, we'll be talking to YouTube creator Tracy Hutchins, who runs the Tracy and Chloe Unboxing Beauty and More channel. That's right. We do talk to YouTube creators on here and not just movie fans, movie channels. We'd like to talk to anybody who will talk to us. That's what we do. Like Rick, like we talked to Steven. Steven already has a horror channel, but he's also a podcaster. So we like talking to him. We've had Sue from the Bud Files. She's been a guest on the show. Rick, like I mentioned before, he's been a guest on the show. So we like getting people coming in, and of course, John's been a guest on the show, and so we like getting community members on here as much as possible. So we will be talking to a Tracy Hutchins next Thursday on the 5th. After taking a Friday off, Friday, which we might be doing a watch party. We haven't figured that out yet, me and the cheetah. But on Saturday at 3 p.m., we will be having a matinee show with poet Hyde Raven Knight at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 12 noon Pacific. So the first week of October is going to be action packed, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be definitely going to be a lot of fun. Um, yeah, it's weird. It's supposed to be cold today, and yet it is warm as hell. I don't know if we're supposed to be getting rain or not. It says partly cloudy, but that could always change. Michigan weather. If you don't like it, just wait 5 minutes. It'll change. Um, all right. So I guess the big news now is that Saw X has dropped. Saw X is now out, and of course everybody is rushing over. And so far, what I've seen, everybody seems to be pretty happy with it. Um, it seems like Tobin Bell was definitely in the mix. He was carrying the main acting load. That was really cool. Only mentioned that too. Only mentioned that because we had talked to Natalie Denise Spurl, and she had done a movie called Night of the Caregiver, and she had co-starred with Eileen Dietz. And she had Eileen Dietz. A lot of times horror icons come in and out, but she carried half the movie. As a matter of fact, one of the movies that me and Steven watched yesterday, The Gothic Harvest, had Lynn Shay and Bill Moseley in it, and they too were very central to the movie. They just weren't there for a day. They weren't just there for a minute and out the door. They were definitely two of the stars of the film. So that was really cool to see. Yeah, yeah, you know what? Yeah, I guess I had hoped I had hoped that maybe they would do what they did with the Final Destination films, and that will circle it all the way back to a key point in the series, like Final Destination did. I had hoped that they would somehow be able to take uh, uh, take Saw X and wrap it around to Spyro, so we could see the origin of John Kramer here. The true origin of him, and then have him go front and forward to Spyro, and then take it forward from then. But I know they did not do that, and I don't know. I don't know. What else has been happening? So I guess early rumors have possibly Halloween coming back. They might be. They're talking about if will A24 pick up Halloween. I'm definitely hope they do. I really do. I sort of hope they do. Um, I think every time you pick up a franchise like that, a commercial franchise like that, I think it becomes sort of you start coming more and more like a major studio, and less, noted for your incredible films. You just become just like another studio. You just become like another Paramount or Columbia or Lionsgate, and pretty soon you're just putting out product, um, which is what I've been saying for a while. But that's just me, of course. Um, no, I no, by all means, yeah, by all means. Just personally, I wouldn't touch it for 5 or 10 years. I really wouldn't. I really would not want to touch that at all. Because the trilogy that came out, and the how people responded to it. Yes, it made a lot of money, but nobody talks about it with any sort of love. You get your some people who actually did like it, and then you get the slappies who will defend it just because they want to seem edgy and they're not. Yeah, we know who you are. You're not edgy. Coming up there and saying, "Yeah, I thought Halloween Ends was a badass." No, 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 you didn't. No, you didn't. Just go sit down on a corner somewhere. You need to go sit down somewhere and just and rest. Um, no, I think the trilogy. I mean, we're gonna get that too with the Exorcist Believer. I think we're gonna see the same sort of reaction as we got for Halloween. All right, the doorbell has rang. That means it must be 8 o'clock, and that means our guest is here. So I'm gonna go get our guest. Please help me welcome a musician and Ducey's Crypt sister. It's the last time I mentioned that, Debbie. I promise. But help me welcome Doc Dam to the show, and here we go.
Hey. Hello, everyone. Can you
Greetings,
hear me?
greetings. Yes, yes. Glad you're here. Glad you're here.
Me too.
Uh,
It's very exciting. I
yeah.
actually I sent out an email and let everybody from work know. So I don't know if any of them will get a chance to tune in, but
Well, the good thing about it is,
if they do,
there's always
shout out to all my colleagues at Neuroscience Education Institute.
right. Hopefully they'll come in. A lot of times like this, a lot of times like this, which really sort of sucks to me, and all of us YouTubers, we can all identify with this. Um, of course, we understand that people have to sign in, have to create a YouTube account to come in and be able to comment on the show. What really sucks though is the people who maybe they don't really want to do a YouTube or whatnot, but they still want to watch the show, so they come by and they watch it. What really sucks about that is that the content creator and the guests who come in, they don't get the view counts. It doesn't count on the views. So I don't really sweat it anymore. I just know that a lot of times it's going to be all about the replay, and John knows this. John knows this as well because he's also does a show like this, and he can tell you the same thing. It doesn't really matter who shows up today, but the replay, everybody in your work is going to come by and watch it. I promise you. I promise you. But well, people will be coming in today too. Hopefully, and we will know who they are because they'll come in and say, "Hey, do people know you as Doc or do they know you as Debbie first and foremost?"
It depends who it is. Friends know me as Debbie. Very special, rare friends get to call me Deb.
Uh,
And then my students called me Dr. Dam. Um, and that was because I was teaching at the same colleges and universities where my ex-husband, who is Dr. Morissette, teaches. So this way, some of the students were taking classes with both of us in this way. It avoided
mm.
confusion, but it stuck. I happened to end up with the initials DAM. So
Now, did you taught at the same school?
yeah, we both taught at Palomar College and Cal State San Marcos.
Wow. So, like, did you travel together? Like when Paul when you went to San Marcos, did they ask Palomar to hire you and you both had to be hired at the same time? Or
Oh, no, no, no,
no?
no. He no. He's been there since we moved out to California in 2001. And then I taught a bit after well, sort of towards the end of grad school and after, but I haven't taught in a while.
Oh, okay. Yeah, where do you now your day job, you're a neuroscientist, right?
Yes. So my PhD is in neuroscience, but I work in mental health. I work for a continuing medical education company called the Neuroscience Education Institute, NEI for short. And we provide education to clinicians to keep them up to date on, the latest advances and diagnosis and treatment of mental health issues. So I'm not a clinician, but I help teach
I
clinicians.
was gonna say, you're not a clinician, but you teach them how to be. Um, Now that's because, as far as being a clinician goes, you have to go through medical school and your residency for that, right?
Yes. Yes. Well,
Uh,
it depends what type of clinician. When I say clinician, I refer to doctors, MDs and DOs, and then also included in that is nurse practitioners and other nursing um, degrees. And a lot of them have prescribing abilities, and they it's just as important as for them to know how the medications work and what the neurobiology is and understand all of that so they can treat their patients, with to the best of their ability.
so it means you also get to study the pharmaceuticals science of mental health, right? Like you get to understand the medicines that are being prescribed.
Yes, that is a large part of my job is understanding, first you have to understand the circuitry in the brain and what might be going wrong there, and then understand how the medications work in the brain. And, especially the past 5 years, 10 years, but really the past 5 years have been pretty amazing, in terms of psychotropic medications. We've had a lot of new advances, and so they work by novel mechanisms, and, so I get to learn all of those and, stay up to date on that so that I can pass along the information to our audience of clinicians.
That must be that must be just continuously moving on. Every month there must be something new that's coming down the road. Is and mental because mental health, it seems like the mental health field has just it just blew up, it seemed like after 2001, as far as that goes. I mean, I see a lot of people talking about their mental health. I mean, and I
Mhm.
mean more and more than ever before. Before you would sit there and say, "Yeah, I'm depressed," and it would always seem to come with a stigma. Um, I don't know if and you were sort of like, you sort of kept that quiet. And now, to me, it seems like it's gone from one extreme to the other, where now everybody seems to be having mental health problems. Is that natural from people to do? Is that a natural pendulum from people going from a stigma to acceptance, and then and maybe some people run to it a little bit too fast, or do you think that we truly are, I guess, that damaged as a society?
It could be a little bit of people kind of, I don't want to say like jumping on the bandwagon, but I really don't think that's so much what's going on. I think it's just that in the past, we just didn't concern ourselves with it, and it was such a stigma that people kept it to themselves, what was going on and how they were feeling. Um, and nowadays it's encouraged to talk about it and to reach out for help. And we're like I said, in the past 5-10 years, the tools that we have that allow us to really help people along, both pharmacological and non-pharmacological, you know, they can they can change a life. They can save a life. And that's it's pretty amazing. So, regardless of exactly why there's more um mental health issues coming to light these days, I'm glad for it because people that need that help are finally getting it. And that's critical.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I look at some of the things that, like I just read this the other day, a couple days ago, that somebody was all upset because they couldn't bring in their therapy alligator inside of a store.
Oh,
Um, I'm sorry, I know therapy, I know there's therapy animals, like a dog, like a therapy animal. Now it just seems like this one of those examples where people have just taken the mental health ball and jumping on the bandwagon with it. Like, I need my therapy, iguana, I need my therapy, I need my therapy, monkey or whatever, or going on a plane. I need I need my 3 therapy pillows. Um, I mean, I guess the question would be, are we, how do you break someone from that cycle? Is that, I mean, is that more society driven, do you think, Debbie? As far as as far as that goes, as far as, creating the emotional therapy or the emotional tool to help them through what they're going through, or again, is it a bandwagon thing? Because I mean, I've seen people with therapy animals before, people actually with real animals, that detect seizures, epileptic animals. They did understand seizures, or those sort of animals. But the therapy the therapy animal thing sort of gets me a little bit, I guess.
well, different individuals, rely on different coping mechanisms. So I would definitely not be one to just immediately dismiss somebody's, therapy alligator if it truly is something that works for them. On the other hand, of course, with any system, you're gonna, people are gonna find ways to abuse it, and that can happen. Um, so it's really an individual case by case kind of basis as far as determining what they need and what's appropriate for them. And of course, bringing a dangerous animal into public is probably not recommended.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I would say it's really kind of an individual thing. And
I thought so too. I mean, when I brought my therapy cheetah inside Burger King, they were telling me, yeah, 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 you can stay, but your the cheetah, he's got to go outside to the car. Okay, maybe not quite so dramatic, but it's just interesting though. I do think it is important. I think it's important and that we do recognize, like I said, I do agree that we've hit a wall, as far as the mental mental health goes with 2000 with 9/11. And it's encouraged, it's encouraged, to come out and say something. I guess what I'm more skeptical of less than the people coming out to it saying, yeah, I mean, because I'm depressed every day. I'm here. I I certainly am. I have one foot on the ground and one foot in the grave. And people who know me know that. Um, I've said that before. It's like, as long as my cat is still with me, I feel comfortable being here. If it doesn't, I don't know where I'll go, but I'm okay with saying that. Whereas like before, you would never come out and say it to anybody. Like, yeah, you're a walking suicide case. Well, holy shit, that would never be accepted a few years ago. Not saying it's going to be accepted now, but it's going to be a greater sense of understanding. Like, okay, I get it. You're hurting, you need to talk to somebody, um you need some coping tools or whatever, and the person who's saying it doesn't feel stigmatized. There's no shame attached to it. So there is something really good to be said for the new advancement of mental health, and I guess your job is just, since talking to you, it's so critically important. I mean, really critically important, probably never more so than now. Um,
I like to think that it is, I as we talked about, I could have done med school, I could have done it, but I just personally I knew I couldn't be a doctor that sees patients because I am way too much of an empath and way too emotional. Anyone that knows me would know that. I would not be able to deliver bad news. That would destroy me. So I like to think that I am helping patients indirectly through what I do, and maybe even exponentially, if I manage to teach a or something that I create teaches a clinician something that helps, you know, several of their patients, it's almost like I've helped, that many patients. So I like to think that, and I really do feel like, the education that we provide and clinicians staying up to date really is giving them the tools they need to change lives. And I am not, exaggerating when I say save lives. In many cases, it really is taking a life that, has been covered in a shroud of darkness, since early, teens or even earlier than that. And, if you can get the treatment just right, it's amazing what it can do for the patient as far as bringing them out of that darkness. And it's like being reborn um into the life you were meant to live, to not be living with that constant, feelings of worthlessness and, maybe suicidal thoughts and depression. And
sure.
it's just pretty amazing, and it is like saving a life. So I like to think that ultimately um that is my goal with what I do.
Yeah, I agree with that because I mean, to me, I look at it this way: if you can go out there and you could teach some of these doctors that soon to be doctors, or like you teach them different tools to use. Like I've always feel now, as far as mental health goes, because it's so overwhelmingly, it's like a wave now. It's like a massive wave, and a lot of therapists and counselors and psychiatrists, psychologists, they're so overwhelmed by the amount of people they're seeing that they're reaching for, instead of reaching for the chair and the couch, they're reaching for the pharmaceuticals. And I just feel like that's just absolutely the wrong thing to do. I just feel like that's the wrong thing to do for your. I mean, maybe down the line, as far as after you talk to the patient for a while, get to know them for a little while, maybe that comes by. You sit there and say, okay, well, maybe you're a little bit of a, you do need some lithium, or you need some medication to go along with our therapy. But it just seems like now that doctors are just, they're being trained to reach for the prescription pad. They
I
don't have
you
the patience anymore.
I can completely understand that. We always recommend first line treatment is always, the non-pharmacological therapy. And, that's always should be first line, and it should be done in combination with any other treatments. There is a point at which, some patients, they need the medication in order to kind of overcome that hump, that they just can't get through with just therapy alone. So, it is important and it does matter. And I agree with you. Yeah, some clinicians kind of automatically reach for that prescription pad. What I what I hope to do is make sure that when they do reach for that prescription pad, they know what they're doing with it. When they
Yeah,
prescribe a medication, they know how it works. They know, what to expect from it, what side effects can happen, and they know how to talk to their patient and inform their patient and monitor their patient. That's because that's a really horrible thing to do, is to just stick a patient on a medication and
yeah.
then do follow-up in 6 months. Like, you can't, that's just wrong, and that happens. It happens a lot.
And,
Not my audience, they never do that. Our NEI clinicians, they don't do that because they are educated.
it just seems like more and more, we have the opiate, the opiate explosion, and people, they trace it down to that pharmaceutical, that family, and doctors were just being paid to issue prescriptions. Anybody come in, I got a hangnail here, so have some OxyContin, and they just developed, a massively horrible generation of drug abuse. And it's the like there's a PSA. One of my favorite PSA shows a drug dealer sitting on a corner. He's like, why are you talking to me? I'm no longer the drug dealer that you know. The drug dealer is that way. And they show this big ass Cadillac Escalade coming up, and it's big pharmaceuticals. They're the new drug dealer. They're the ones that are out there now, poisoning the water, so to speak. Hey Reed, how are you? Glad you guys are here. Yes, he says hello, Dr. Dan. Glad you are here. Yeah, that's a medicine today. It just seems so heavy, more so than ever before. And the responsibility that you have for teaching our next generation of doctors and nurse practitioners and what have you, it just seems like your job is becoming more and more important. Hell, I'm also say just every single month it's important. Hopefully these doctors are grabbing on to what you say and taking it to heart. Do you ever run across any resistance to when you teach some of these folks? Do they ever come to you after class and disagree with what you're saying, or how you're teaching? Do they ever come up there and say that doesn't work for me? Does that
Um,
ever
I
happen?
I don't so much get the heat because I'm more behind the scenes. What I do is I put together the agendas for our meetings and determine which of our amazing, world-renowned faculty will deliver the talk. And then I help to put together the content that they're going to deliver. Sometimes a little, sometimes a lot, depending on how much they'd like me to help. And but they're the ones that get up on stage in front of the audience of 2,000 clinicians and actually
Mm.
deliver the content, and take the Q&A at the end. So if somebody disagrees, they're more likely to disagree with one of our faculty presenters, not so much come to me with feedback, but I definitely try to stay aware of it. so that, we can take different views into consideration.
Well, you know what that means, right? You know what that, when you're saying that, it's like the Supreme Court, right? We have the 9 justices in the Supreme Court, but it's not them that really are doing the heavy lifting. It's their clerks behind them. The clerks that they have behind the justices, they're the ones that make the engine move. They're the ones that actually put together the case, the law, the language, and and they're out there. They're like, I see you the same way. You're the one providing the knowledge that these guys are going out there and teaching people. They're the face of what you're trying to get out there. But when it comes down to actually creating it and researching it and what have you, it's you and your team that are actually doing it. That's what I
It
mean.
it
You're yeah,
Right,
huh?
I can't agree with that. The
Really?
faculty that I work with are literally the top experts in the world on their field. So, I'm usually learning so much from them, and then just kind of assisting them with making their presentation look, as nice as we can, and, try to come up with ways to deliver complex information in a way that the audience will understand and everything. I do research and come up with ideas. I write books and articles, many awesome co-authors and everything. But yeah, so I am not the brains behind them.
Oh,
That
I
is
I'm just
not the
yeah.
case.
Oh, I meant to say that I should have expounded that a little bit more, like your team behind you. Yeah, you're right. I wouldn't put that all on just one person's shoulder. No, of course not. But I'm saying, and do you work with a team? I mean, are you part of a team, or do you like what, like you mentioned, you just got done mentioning how you write articles and papers. I know for a lot of research, that's almost like required that you write papers and reports and books and stuff like that. Do you collaborate with other folks when you do that? I mean, do you guys sit around and hash out different ideas and techniques uh, before you give them to the speakers?
Oh, yeah, so, NEI has a team of, the content team of writers, and so, I am director of content live events, so I help, our writers along with the development of our live content, and, yeah, and as far as the articles and, guidelines and whatnot, I've been so blessed to co-author with, for example, our guidelines on the treatment of depression with mixed features, which is depression with like a whiff of mania. That included so many, co-authors from around the world that are the top mood disorder experts, including, Dr. Roger McIntyre, who is just amazing, and, of course, Dr. Stephen Stahl, who, is I would say he's my mentor. I've co-authored a lot with him. So, I just love what I do. I get to work with, like, these brilliant minds, and experts and bounce ideas back and forth with them, and it's really fantastic, and sometimes it blows my mind what I get to do for a living and, and actually make a living at it. Because I feel like I don't well, I shouldn't say it, but I'd almost do it without getting paid, but don't tell
No,
Sh
no, yeah,
Sherry, I didn't say that.
yeah. That we'll have to like bleep that one out. But it's sort of funny though, because like a lot of people may not know or know this. I've been saying this, but your brother is John from Doomsday Crypt, and now how many brothers and sisters do you have besides John?
I have 1 brother and 1 sister.
Is your other sister in the medical field as well?
No. So, Vicky is our older sister, and yeah, she does some legal work and also a fantastic fitness instructor. She's in incredible shape. Um, yeah, so she's not in medical, and of course, Johnny. I mean
Yeah,
John, but I just can't call him John. It doesn't
Johnny.
work for me. Um, it just comes out as Johnny. Sorry, Johnny. But yeah, he's found his own niche, that he's just doing so fantastic with, both the Doomsday's Crypt and also what he does, helping adults with, some disabilities and in both of those realms, he's just amazing. I'm so proud of him for
Yeah.
what he's been doing and what he's accomplished.
What you guys both are, I guess I'm safe to say, you both are empathic. Where do you think where do you think that came from? Was that passed down from your parents to you, or was
Mom,
that? I think that huh?
it comes from mom.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now was she also in the field too, or she was just a natural empath?
She is a natural empath. Perfect example is really what she did, um, kind of later. So she was in real estate, but then, my grandmother, her mother, got Alzheimer's and, runs in the family. And, my mom couldn't find a place for her that she felt was good enough, that wasn't going to, either chemically or physically restrain her and just let her kind of waste away. So my mom actually opened up her own home. She moved to Florida, opened up a home for late stage Alzheimer's. So she cared for, eight individuals at a time, including my grandmother. It was very interesting. You have to imagine a house full of eight, late stage Alzheimer's patients, which, late stage. So,
No.
so
Sometimes they're
it was
gone.
incredible, and she did that for, gosh, 25, 30 years? Yeah, it was, or 20 years, I don't know, but it was pretty amazing, and, so, I we definitely get a lot of our empathy from that.
Yeah, that's like late care Alzheimer's. That you might also just say for what it is. That's hospice care. And
Her goal in what she did was to provide a really enriching environment as much as she could. So, playing games with them and especially music,
yeah,
which, you know, music has this incredible power because you can have a patient with Alzheimer's who's late stage, nonverbal, incontinent, just not really engaging in anything, and then you play a song that, they would know and all they can sing every word
yeah,
without fail. They remember every single word and they engage. And it's not I'm not this isn't an N of 1. I've seen this many times
yeah.
over,
Me too.
and, it's pretty incredible, and, there is a neurobiological basis for that. The area of the brain that, is responsible for music, it is left alone as far as Alzheimer's pathology. So it's pretty incredible and it's a very powerful tool. And in my work as part of it, I try to use that tool to help educate clinicians.
I would. Do you get a chance to see the latest research from various fields? Do you get to see that first and foremost before most people do?
I do actually. It's really incredible. I have to stay up on top of, what medications are in development, and stay on top of, if they're going to be approved or not. And, we try to educate our audience, ahead of the approval so that when a medication is approved, they can hit the ground running with it as far as, understanding what it does and how it works. So, yeah, I have to stay up on all the inside information. Um, just for example, in terms of schizophrenia, there is this novel treatment modality that is it works in a way totally different from any of our existing medications, and it's very exciting. And so, yeah, I have to know all the details about that and, you know, my way of doing it, of course, I wrote a song about it. So it, you know,
Uh, that's right. As Snow mentioned, she specialized in schizophrenia. Schizophrenia is wow, that is so heartbreaking to read about that. That is so that's just, wow. That's just yeah. It's almost to the point where you almost like, what would you rather have? Would you rather be schizophrenic or would you have Alzheimer's? And you're almost tempted to sit there and say Alzheimer's after reading up on what schizophrenia is, and it's utterly scary, totally scary. Personality disorders, yes. Let's talk a little bit about music because music is very important. Now, when you were going to school, did you know that this is something you wanted to do? Were you always in the service of man, so to speak? Were you always you and your brother? Did you always know that you would try to be in a position to help people, or is this where your trail led you?
I always wanted to help. So in undergrad, I determined that I wanted to research Alzheimer's disease and try to help find a cure for that. And because it runs in my family and it really had touched me, and you know in for my own self-preservation and that of my at then non-existent kids, I wanted to try to see, if I could help find a cure for that. So, I had that direction coming out of undergrad, and then I did grad school and, continued that pursuit. I was working with transgenic mouse models of Alzheimer's. So these are mice that we have genetically modified so that they have Alzheimer pathology, and then we can try to find treatments that work. And so, yeah, so I did that, and that was great. But I found out by the end of grad school that bench work wasn't really my favorite, and that wasn't something I wanted to spend my life doing. Um, and going into grad school, I did not want to teach. I was like, I'll be a horrible teacher. I don't have the patience for that. And but they make you teach in grad school as part of your fellowship. So I had to teach, and then it turned out I really loved it. So that became what I wanted to pursue. And then as far as the music part of it, I've been singing since I was little, annoying my brother and sister. But I was always in chorus and whatnot. High school, I sang the national anthem at football games. Um, and then it was but I never thought I could make a career out of that, like be realistic. And then I was lucky enough, I got to join a band called The Decades, and I was with them for 10 years, and we did covers of everything from Rolling Stones to Lady Gaga. So shout out to my band brothers, Ron, Steve, and of course my bestie Bob. We had a lot of fun with that. So I did that for 10 years, but then I somehow found this niche at NEI where I got to combine the whole PhD in neuroscience, continue, staying up to date on Alzheimer's disease and a wide variety of other mental health issues. Um, and then also incorporate the singing in that. So I feel very blessed that I found this amazing, perfect career for me. And I love what I do. I've been with NEI. It'll be 14 years in the spring. So yeah, I hope that I wish that for everybody, that you find a job that you just love, because then it really doesn't feel like work.
Yeah, yeah, I understand that feeling. I had a job like that too, where it didn't seem like it was work. It was like sometimes I'd be standing there going, to my buddy, and it's then going like, "Can you believe we're actually getting paid for doing this?" We, he would laugh because it's like, we're getting paid money for this, for putting on live music shows. How old were you when you discovered that you like to sing?
As early as I can remember, my mom could probably answer that question better. When did I start? Um My sister would probably say, "Oh god, too soon," because then I had to listen to it.
Uh,
But, yeah, it's just something I always love to do. I remember it from, the start of memories.
now, did you listen to all the boy bands growing up, or did you listen to like were you sort of rebellious, listen to all rock and roll, or
You know,
what
my
music?
friends were all into New Kids on the Block and whatnot. Funny story, I actually just showed my girls, um, you know, they know Mark Wahlberg as the actor, and I showed them Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch, and they were like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's how I know him. That's where he
Yeah,
started." But, all my friends were all into the boy bands. I was never really super into them. I'd like a song here and there. My taste in music has always been all over the place. My playlist would be something like, Tesla, and then, maybe
nice.
Britney Spears, and then like a Phantom of the Opera song. It's just all over the place. So yeah, boy bands, I mean, it's fun to look at
Yeah,
them now
that's
and
the type of
see how
music
they've aged.
I listen to everything too. I don't listen to just one. I have a playlist where I listen to like movie scores, or I listen to pop music or classics or what have you. I'm like that too. Though there probably would be no New Kids on the Block on my playlist. I'll be honest with you. There's no NSYNC, there's no New Kids, there's no Britney. Well, there's one song I like, but even though I like it, I probably know that she didn't really sing it. She probably auto-tuned it. But I do like the song that she sings called Toxic. I think that's a pretty
Mhm.
badass song. I think that's a pretty badass song. But I mean, again, it's like, do I think that she actually goes out there and sings? I don't know. I still have to
Well,
hear.
how I know Britney Spears from at first is she was on Star Search, if you remember that. That's
Yeah.
the original, talent show. She was on Star Search. She can sing. At least she could when she was a little girl. So she can sing. And I will tell when I'm mixing concrete, I've got You Better Work B. I'm not gonna say it out loud. But yeah, I've got that song sometimes playing in the background. My neighbors may or may not appreciate that. But yeah, it gets me pumped.
Uh, says Snow says Brittany has a real voice. Yeah, she might have a real voice, but she ain't no Christina. That's for sure. That's I saw the one time where Britney Spears hosted Saturday Night Live. Right, she hosted it, and she came out there and she did her the aided the songs, and she sang with her auto tune and all that. And the next week they had Christina Aguilera as a host, and she walked out there and just did a cappella, and you knew right then and there, like okay, there's not even a debate, between back then it was Christina versus Britney, and it was just like Christina walked out there and belted that out, and it was just like, yeah, that ain't much of a fight, it's just like let's just be honest with you. I mean, Christina Aguilera, she had an amazing voice. I don't know whatever happened to her. She just dropped off the planet. It seemed like I don't really hear anything from her. I
Yeah,
guess she's yeah.
I haven't heard much on her. There another incredible artist that, when she first hit the scene way back when, her stuff was more poppy, but, nowadays you can truly appreciate how amazing her voice is, and that is Pink. She is
Oh yeah.
absolutely incredible vocalist. I've heard her do a cover of Bohemian Rhapsody, and it's just like it doesn't get better than that. So she's fabulous, and
Yeah, she said that when she got sober, once she got sober, she says that, and it's a surprise you don't hear this more often. She says, "Once I got sober, my voice improved." I'm like, "Yeah, because you're taking care of it." It's one of the things I always ask singers. Because rock and roll has a really bad habit, right? A lot of times you see rock and rollers and they're always smoking. Oh, good lord! It's like that's what it's like. It's just like, wow, I don't get that. How do you come out there and sing the way you do and then be around all that smoke and everything else? When you get away from it, your voice improves, it's more clear. And it just always was sort of like an oxymoron to me. It's like you're singing and you're in a field where you need to have protections and to take care of your voice. Your image is, go out there and be seen, walking around with walking around with a smoke in your hand and a beer and whatnot. It's just like it sort of just cracks me up about that. It's like the image versus the
I
reality.
I think the image is slowly changing. There's a lot of artists coming out now about their sobriety and
Mm,
talking about it and how much it's changed their lives. There are also, many artists like Lady Gaga coming out and openly talking about mental health. So
yeah,
I think that wheel is kind of turning. It's changing a little bit
I think
where,
so too.
sobriety's the cool thing.
Hmm.
Drinking maybe not so cool, but sobriety kinda is.
Yeah, because you look at, like I'm thinking about two artists that I know. Um, One I got to see sing. I saw them both sing, and one was Steve Harwell from Smash Mouth. That guy always has something in his hand, right? He always had something in his hand. And then you had a singer named Jacoby Haddix who played in a band called Papa Roach, and he got clean and sober, and his life is phenomenal. He does his affirmations, he shares it with his friends, his family, his posting. He says, how much more life he has now that he's embraced the sober life, and it's really positive, and you're drawn to that. You're drawn to that because you're really rooting hard. Whereas you see someone like a Britney Spears, who's just everybody's watching her for all the wrong reasons. They're watching her like a NASCAR race. I don't know how many people were sitting there watching her going like, "Go, Brittany, go!" When they actually see it and they're going like, "Holy you really get scared for her." I
Yeah,
am. I just,
yeah.
to me, it's like you already know how her story's going to end. It'll
Not
probably just.
necessarily,
I hope not, but
tomorrow is
so far,
always a new day, and, people can change, it has to come from within, but, hey, I
yeah.
have to give a shout out to my refam. So if anyone from my refam is watching, hey, guys, thanks for tuning in.
See, Christina isn't no Alicia Shepherd. Uh, I do believe that is Snow. That is Snow. Snow is that's right. No, there's only one Snow that we know. Yeah. Whoa, Snow. I said it was a snowfall when she came inside the chat. So yeah, now have you seen I know you've already obviously you've seen this, but you've seen both sides of the coin too. See some people that you see some people that are trying hard for that sobriety, or they're working hard for the clean mental health, and then you get the others who just don't really seem to either get it nor want to get it. Um, how I mean, your natural personality, and being an empath, you want to go keep helping that person over and over and over. But I mean, I'm not sure if you can speak to this. If not, then we'll drop it. But what is a how far do you have to go with somebody as far as them trying to come back? How far do you go with somebody before you realize that, hey, they're not doing the work, they don't seem to have any interest in it. They seem to be more interested in, either swallowing in the mud, so to speak, or do with self-destructive behaviors. I mean, is that something that you guys talk about as well? If that's, when you're talking about mental health and teaching doctors how to deal with those kind of symptoms.
I think most clinicians are not gonna give up on a patient, but you can't do it for someone else. They have to do it. They have to want it. They have to put in the work. And, all you can do is try to support them and encourage them and, do what you can to try to help them get there, but you can't make someone do it, and you can't do it for them. They have to do it for themselves. Um, so even if their progress doesn't look like something phenomenal to you, it is very important to celebrate even the smallest wins for somebody because, those little wins, they add up. And, of all of a sudden, oh my goodness, look back at my life, um, from last year and look how far I've come. And I didn't make any huge, great, big leaps, but I made these little steps, and that's what got me here.
Yeah, good
And,
right there.
so you wanna encourage even the smallest steps, and there might be setbacks, there might be, slips, we call them some learning in progress. Everything that happens, the good, the bad, the great, the horrible, is a learning experience, and that's how you should try to take it, look at it is, "What can I learn from this?" "Okay, that went well, so what do I learn from this? Okay, do that same thing," or, "Oh gosh, I'm so embarrassed, that went horrible. What can I learn from it?" Instead of beating myself up over it, what can I learn from it? And so that's what we wanna always try to encourage people to do that, or, if they're struggling with whether it be a mental health issue or a substance use problem, um, that's kind of the aim there. It's just always support. As far as it really depends if it's a personal thing, how close is that relationship? How much of yourself, are you willing to invest? And certainly you don't want to be investing so much of yourself that it's detrimental to your own mental health. Um, but of course, if it's a very close loved one, I mean, it'd be very hard to give up on them.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. I used to watch that old show they had on A&E called Intervention. Oh man, that was a tough show to watch at times. Man, that was tough. That was tough because sometimes they didn't come out. You always see at the end of the show they tell you what happened to that person they talked to, and I think it was probably like 50-50. It was like 50% made it and 50% did not, and it's just like it's rough. You really feel bad for them. There's a lot. They have so much support behind them, and it's just like, man, you just can't give up. You got to try, keep going. Um, so as far as the music go, we'll go back to music. We'll steer this to a little more fun. So music, we know now that NSYNC and Backside Boys are not your cup of tea. Um, so what was the first time you sang in public? Were you
I was doing chorus and select chorus and, I would have solos. So I don't remember what my first solo was. But yeah, it was, sometime in probably middle school. Um, yeah. So it just kind of like steadily happened.
Oh, okay. Now, what was the first instrument that you did learn? Did you learn how to play? Did you learn how to play guitar first, or that was the first instrument you picked up?
I don't actually play any instruments. I can play tambourine. Um,
Right.
Steve McCulley would say that I don't play it well, but he's a drummer, so, I think I sound good on tambourine, but yeah, so really I don't play any instruments, except for tambourine. I can learn a song on the piano, but it literally takes me, like, at least 3 months to learn a song, and I have all of my keys, labeled with the letters. So I wouldn't say that I play piano. I leave that to others, namely Bob Purcell.
Snow mentions, doesn't it suck to be an intelligent, talented woman? Yeah, because that's what Snow's saying that she is, and she's right. Snow's very talented, and she's very intelligent, and she's a lot of fun.
Well, thank you.
Um, you'd be amazed how powerful the sunk cost fallacy is. I don't know what the sunk cost fallacy is, but I'll take it that it's important and it's a powerful. Uh, so yeah, so now you start playing songs for yourself, like you play songs now. And I guess it'd be a perfect segue to sit there and say, would you like to sing one of your songs that you have done, and tell us where you came up with the idea for your style, your musical style, because you do songs like Al, oh God, just to say Al.
Yeah, I have
You
been called Neuronal Yankovic, because I don't actually write my own music. What I do is parodies of original songs. So I rewrite the lyrics to be about mental health and psychopharmacology and neuroscience. So that's kind of what I do. I don't have a specific genre. I do all sorts of stuff.
I
It
need a
really has
team.
to do with, you know, I'll hear a song and lyrics fit into it, and it just kind of happens.
I think most people who do parody songs like that, like Weird Al or Napoleon the 14th or anybody else like that, I don't think they have a genre either. They just go with what they think is going to work for them. What's fun. I mean, when I think of Weird Al, I mean, you think of all the songs that he's parodied, and what genre is Weird Al? Weird Al is no genre. There's no label for him because he can do it. He can sing any song from anybody and make it into a fun song. So yeah. So I like to hear, and I'm sure Snow is, and everybody else. I don't know where Johnny is. Where's Johnny? I thought Johnny was going to be here. I thought him and Brett would be here, or Beatrice. All right. Mary on a Cross, a marinara sauce. Have you heard of the band called Ghost?
I have not.
I Yeah, I guess they're a Swedish band, and they're very theatrical. They would have fitted really well on Phantom of the Opera. But they're a lot of fun. They dress up in makeup, and they have this whole backstory to them, and they're a lot of fun. And they put out a song called "Mary on a Cross," and of course the right wingers, they're all bent out of shape about it because they're like, "Oh my God, you're making fun of God." Get over yourselves. It's a really catchy song. It's actually I think it's more of a love song than it is anything else. But their big hit is called "Mary on a Cross." Um, and then she put in marinara sauce. That's hilarious, actually. But you know what? I'm going to step aside and let you sing a couple of songs of your choosing, and have at it.
All right. Well, let's see. Depends what your audience would like to learn about. Well, actually, I don't know if Johnny's here. I did write a song about Johnny and Doomsday's Crypt that I can do. Um, Hopefully he doesn't kill me for doing it. But yeah, for all those DK fans out there,
That's right.
hopefully you would understand some of the lyrics to it. Um, just kind of some throwbacks to when he was little. So
Um,
I don't, I'm not sure how this is gonna work.
I
I
should,
can play the track and then sing
I should,
along to it.
I should have had you bring some childhood pictures of him out so you could show us him when he was a kid.
He was a towhead. We
Was
all
he a
were.
towhead? Yeah, yeah.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Very white blonde hair.
So did he have a nickname when you know was besides Johnny? Did he have a nickname when he was younger?
Johnny. Uh,
Just Johnny?
Johnny. Yeah.
I was being like Johnny Quest or Johnny Gage or something like that.
No, it was just Johnny. I don't know if you can hear that. That's one of my dogs howling at something.
I think he's shipping in with the nickname for John. I personally I would call him Spookala John myself. But that's for another show. But no nickname for when he was younger then, right?
No,
Oh,
it was just Johnny. Um yeah, I think he had
oh,
some nicknames for when I was really little, I think both of them, and I'm sure my brother started it, would call me like shrimp or shrimpy
shrimp.
or something along
Oh,
those lines.
that's really cute because I used to call my brother. I used to call him Frog because when he was born, he was really tiny. I mean, he was really tiny. He was almost like a preemie, and he was in bed, and you looked straight down on him, and he was sitting there. He looked like a frog, and my mom said that. My mom looked at him and says, "He looks like a damn frog," and so that just stuck with him.
Well, I can tell you Johnny was a very large baby. I
Oh,
believe he was about a month overdue, and I think he was like 13 pounds or something. He was
holy
huge.
shit!
And my sister, who's 2 years older than him, um, this I was not there to witness this, but the story my mom has told, she'd be out at a store with my sister who was, like 3 and my brother who was 1, and of course they're at, different cognitive levels, but they were like the same size, and so people would think they were twins and that my brother, had some disabilities.
Oh,
So
right.
yeah,
All right.
so it wasn't that, he was just a really big baby. Um, so yeah,
I bet he was a prodigious eater too. Did he?
yeah.
Yeah. Did he
Well,
eat? Just
yeah, he's
he
a
just.
big guy, he's tall.
Yeah, but when he was younger, I bet he was just like as soon as your mom got home and put away when she said Debbie and John, will you put away the groceries? I mean, I'm sure he put them away, but not the way your mom thought. Like, no, John. When I say put it away, it means put it on the shelf, not put it in your stomach.
Yeah, no, the bigger problem I remember is my dad yelling at my brother to get all of his dishes, what are these? Here, cups, plates, dishes, and saucers out of his bedroom and down into the kitchen.
You know what though? I have a feeling today. I have a feeling he's a neat freak. I have a feeling he's a
I,
neat.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I have a.
He was, he was a teenage boy.
Yeah. 'Cause I see the stuff he has behind him when he does his show and whatnot. Everything seems to have a place. It's all organized, you know? It's not just anywhere and everywhere. And, it sort of makes sense because when he does his shows and he goes, you have to have your trailer or your truck. You just can't just throw stuff around and like, okay, I'm gonna go to a convention and put everything together. You have to be super organized and you have to be sharp on that. And I just get the impression that he's very anal about that now. He's very much a neat freak. But boy, we are talking. I'm sure I'm going to hear this about this too. But uh, uh, what are you talking about me for? But because that's what happens when you talk to somebody's brother or sister. That happens. It's natural, So, but yeah, but let me get out of your way and let you tell us about the couple. Tell us about the songs you're going to sing for us.
Yeah, so I can kick it off with Johnny Do Good, which is a tribute to my brother. And uh yeah, and then I can do some that I've done for work and maybe educate you guys just a little bit because I always think it's very important for patients to, understand things as well. So they know what to talk with their clinicians about. And, clinicians sometimes do make mistakes. And so if you are, aware of something that you can bring up with them that they might have missed, that's good for everybody. So, we'll see what we can do with that. But I'll start off with Johnny
Okay.
Do Good. So I'm gonna play the backing track. Hopefully that doesn't get us booted off.
Now that this is a for the official for Facebook or for YouTube. This is a parody song. Like I said, most I'll probably get is I'll get a copyright warning, but that's all right. But if we
Okay.
do get knocked out of here, that means they were super sensitive. But screw that, because those guys let everybody get away with doing copyright strikes all the time. So
I can do it a cappella if you want to play it safe.
nah, nah, go ahead and crack it. Go ahead
All right.
and yeah.
Let's see if
It's like
this.
it's like people do karaoke and they have backing. They have when they do karaoke, they have backing tracks when they do karaoke. So I'm not worried about it.
Okay. Well, hopefully we'll be able to stay on. Here goes. Convention in Missouri, one in New Orleans. Shooting all the shiz with DK and the B. A creepy little cabin with a mask and some blood. His sisters and his nieces watching Johnny Do Good. He never really liked to read or write so well, but he found his passion and it's movies about hell. Go, 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 Johnny, go, go. Go, Johnny, go, go. Go, Johnny, go, go. Go, Johnny, go, go. Johnny do good.
Nice.
He used to throw his little friends up over his back. Now he's hanging with Manny. Gotta love the mustache. Woo! Brett Wagner with his swag. He's lost leather face. Going through the cuts the director made. The people passing by, they all stop and say, oh my, that three-eyed demon does slay. Go, go, go. Go, Johnny, go, go. Go, Johnny, go, go. Go, Johnny, go, go. Go, Johnny, go, go. Johnny do good.
That's cool. He does really good. He does really good. Both of you do really good. I mean, you're both, and that's what I really liked about talking with you about this. I mean, about the medicine side of it, because you guys are both into caring for people, and I really just have nothing but respect and joy for that. So, I mean, he could come back and do Debbie Does Good and sing the same song right back. You know. Do you write your own songs too? Do
His
you have?
mother hoped that someday he would be the man. Now he's the fearless leader of the horror fans. Many people coming from miles around to see the merchandise and be in her gown. Maybe someday his name will be in lights saying Doomsday's kryptonite. Go, go, go. Go, Johnny, go, go. Go, Johnny, go, go. Go, Johnny, go, go, go. Go, Johnny, go, go. Johnny do good.
I'm scared to say anything now.
What happened? I
Uh,
all of a sudden I'm like,
no, I think
you're talking
I think I
weird.
caught you during the bridge, and I'm like, I started asking you a question. I started saying, going like, and then all of a sudden he came back with the last verse and going like, oh shit, okay, that's gonna be funny. Because I thought you did the first two verses, okay, that was neat, and then you were waiting for the bridge, and I was like, oh shit, I asked the question too soon.
Gotta get the
But
doomsday
what I said was
plug in there.
what I said was I think that John could turn right around and sing this song right back about you. Go Debbie go, because you guys are both have such passion and such and compassion. I mean, I can actually see him coming back with that same song. You guys both are very much alike in a lot of ways. Um, so let's talk. I mean, when did you decide to know medicine was where you wanted to go? And did you get involved in it first? Then did John see what you were doing, and then he got into helping his boys that he's taking care of now?
Well, it's really
Did he follow
it,
your footsteps?
no, it really all started with my mother and with the home that she opened for late stage Alzheimer's. Johnny was heavily involved in helping take care of those individuals, and the natural caregiver in him came out, and he's always been a very funny guy, always was making me laugh since the beginning of time that I can remember. And and that's what when he is caring for individuals, he you know he has that empathy and that care, but he also has that ability to make them laugh, and it's just incredible. So that's where he got that from. I took I wanted to know with Alzheimer's because it runs in our family. I wanted to know, what is this all about? What causes it? You know, what are the genetics behind it? What treatments are being looked at? What can we do to stop it? So I went that route. Um and he just his niche is caring for people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You and I talked about a couple of weeks ago about this, but I don't see no matter how successful he is in his convention business, and he's getting better every year. I mean, this year was phenomenal for him. Next year is just going to be off the chain. Um, but even though that happens, I don't see him leaving his boys. I just don't see it happening. I see him maybe hours might be cut down a little bit. Maybe that might happen. Maybe instead of 40 hours, or 80 hours in the house, He might be going back to 40 hours during the week or whatnot, but I don't see him leaving, unless unless it's just like every weekend he's got somewhere to go, and he's getting paid for it. I mean, even then, who knows, right? And I don't I couldn't see you leaving you either. I couldn't see you leaving your job, even if there was someone offered you a different opportunity. Come out and sing with our band. Come on, bring Dr. Dam out, and we're going to go around the country, and we're going to have you play in a band. I don't see you doing that. I see you saying, "I love to sing. I love the songs. I like singing. I like the entertaining, but I like teaching more."
Yeah, I love learning and learning about the brain, which we learn more, every day. So, I love that. I love singing, but I love neuroscience as well. And so, yeah, I don't ever plan to retire. I don't see a need to ever retire because I can pretty much do this from anywhere and you know, uh I would I do this on my days off. I do it anyway. And so if I retired and stopped doing it, I'd still be doing it. And so why retire?
Exactly, exactly. Our friend Steven is here. He also is a singer. He also does karaoke. So since he missed the Johnny Be Good, I'm gonna let you do another song so he can catch it.
Okay.
Uh, so Steven, here you go. Here's Dr. Dam. She's gonna crank out another song. What song are we singing now?
So I actually want to do this one. It doesn't get too sciency, doesn't get too technical, but it's very exciting. So just a couple months ago, we a brand new medication came out for postpartum depression. And this is really incredible. It's actually been in just the last couple of years, 2 medications, 2 treatments for postpartum depression have come out. And before we had nothing. We really had nothing. And, the go-to was to treat with an SSRI, with an antidepressant. And, those didn't always work. And in some cases, may not have been the best choice. So it's pretty amazing that we do now have these treatments for postpartum depression. And the first one to come out that came out a couple of years ago was it was called Brexanolone, and it works great, but it's a 60-hour infusion. So, not
How
ideal.
long infusion?
60 hours.
Oh Jesus!
Yeah,
How how
but the
how how
effects
does
are pretty immediate.
how
But
does that work? Do they have to work like? Are they wearing it on like? They have a port for that, or
they're in a treatment center to get that. But the amazing thing is just a couple of months ago, we had approval of, the medication called zuranolone, and this is, it works the same way, but it's an oral medication, and, that's pretty amazing. I personally have suffered very severe postpartum depression, and back then there wasn't any treatment, and, so it's just amazing to think that, hopefully in the future, we will have a situation where no woman, no cry,
no,
after having a
postpartum
baby.
depression is when a woman is depressed after she gives birth to a child?
So it's, a lot of women after giving birth, um, or even after being pregnant, because this can actually happen too if it doesn't, you know, it results in a live birth. But the hormones change, and a lot of women will suffer what's called baby blues. So that's kind of being down and everything, and that lasts, a few weeks, but then goes away. But in some women, um, the baby blues don't go away, and they're very severe. So we're talking severe depression, in some cases, even a psychosis, a lot of times suicidality. There are cases of, the woman actually committing infanticide,
Yeah.
and it's out of love, if that makes any sense. So it can be very, very serious, but it's a very hard way to live. 'Cause here you are, this brand new bundle of joy, right? And you can't stop crying and being sad and, you know, So you have it's just and everyone's thinking that you should be joyful and happy and, you've got this miracle and you're trying to be, but you're so incredibly depressed. So, yeah, so we now have a treatment and the treatments here's the little education. So the treatments actually they're called GABA positive allosteric modulators. So we call them GABA PAMs for short. So they work on the GABA system, which don't worry about what that is. Just remember GABA PAMs. Okay. Um, all right, so here is little Bob Marley. No woman, no cry. No woman, no cry. No woman, no cry. I remember when I was pregnant. My baby was a blessing inside bound. Okay, I started the wrong place.
So punk rock.
You know what? Forget the music. I'm gonna acapella this because you know the song.
Okay.
That's what I get for trying to get my version. I usually the studio gets the version and cuts it all up for me.
You
All
gotta
right.
record. You gotta go outside a recording studio and record this.
Oh, it is. There's actually yeah, it's up on our YouTube channel. Oh, actually maybe this one isn't. But yeah, we have a whole video that goes with this. When we present that to our audience before we give a postpartum talk or a update on antidepressive depressant medication talk. So, um yeah, it's recorded. There is a studio version, but I'll give you the acapella so you can get an idea. So, I remember when I was pregnant, my baby was a blessing inside bound. I was observing the sonograms, tingled with the motherhood I seek. Good times we'll have, no thoughts of loss along the way. My baby's future, depression in my past. There'll be no tears, I say. No woman, no cry. No woman, no cry. It's been 3 months since I was pregnant. Can't stop my tears, feeling so down. And then the doctor maybe sees the light. Postpartum, I am not alright. SSRI, no will to live. My mood it is still blue. New meds are my only salvage. So I've got to push on through. And I'll be fine because everything's gonna be alright. We got the GABA allosteric might. Everything's gonna be alright. My HPA is gonna work just right. Everything's gonna be alright. Happy plans are within my sight. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. So, no woman, no cry. No woman, no cry. Oh, little darling, don't shed no tears. No woman, no cry.
Hmm. What causes it, Debbie?
So I
No,
don't want
no.
to get into too much science, and have people
Right.
lose interest. But there's a lot of hormonal changes that happen um, with pregnancy and then after pregnancy, and those hormonal changes can affect what's called the HPA axis, so hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. It's this axis, the circuit that is involved with our stress response. And if it gets out of whack, you end up kind of having a stress response and, a mood response where, you know, there's no instigator for that. So, and that circuit also involves something called the hippocampus, which is involved with memory. But what these medications do is they work on GABA receptors within the HPA axis, and they calm it down so that it's not going haywire. So that's kind of a brief on how they work. It's totally different than in our typical antidepressants, which like you have your SSRIs, which is selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. Those work by inhibiting the pump that takes serotonin out of the synapse so that you get more serotonin. So most of our antidepressants are kind of serotonin or norepinephrine based, and this is totally new. We're going after the GABA system, so it's very exciting, and it works quickly, and it works effectively, and that is a huge breakthrough for women with postpartum depression.
Oh, so the SSRIs, the medications before that, not very effective. I mean,
Not everybody responds to an SSRI with depression,
mhm,
including postpartum depression. Here's the thing with postpartum depression is, a lot of times, especially if it's kind of the first time a woman's ever had depression is during the postpartum period, it it it's something that occurs more often if it's, something on the bipolar spectrum. So,
mm,
and if it is on the bipolar spectrum, the depression, you don't wanna treat with antidepressant monotherapy. That's what our guidelines are all about. You don't treat with antidepressant monotherapy if there's even a whiff of mania. So you just want to avoid that, but unfortunately, that's kinda like the automatic treatment for postpartum depression is
mm,
here, try an SSRI. And, as I keep reminding clinicians through my work, and I will keep doing over and over again, is reminding them that every single patient that you encounter that has, depression, you need to monitor them. You need to screen them, monitor them for a hint of mania and any family history of mood disorders. That is so critical before starting treatment. And then, even if you do decide that antidepressant monotherapy is appropriate, it's so important that you keep monitoring that patient to see if they have any mania that emerges. It's so critical. And, you know, I
can
not every
men
clinician is doing that.
can men get postpartum depression? Can they be sympathetic with their wives? Can that affect them as well, or is that just strictly a female medical issue?
I wouldn't say they would get postpartum depression. They can get depression. And now zuranolone, this medication for postpartum, there were studies done to see if it would work in non-postpartum depression, just regular postpartum depression, if you want to call it that.
Okay.
The study results maybe didn't come out exactly how we had hoped, but you know, everything's a step in the right direction.
Right, right. Oh, that's fast. I'm fascinated by it. That's why I asked. As far as people losing interest, I'm fascinated, so that's why I asked.
Good.
I,
I'm
I think
I'm glad.
I think it's very interesting.
I
Um,
do feel that part of my job is not to provide answers, it's to provide questions. That's
yes,
what I like to get you thinking, and, you know, because if you're asking questions, that means you're thinking about it and
yeah.
thinking about the possibilities.
Uh, well, the snow is biting her cheeks. Yeah. I'm gonna have to. Yeah. I mean, I guess you could have an opinion about it, but I'm probably gonna lean toward the teacher. You seen that? Did you now? Has this now? Is this something? If you don't mind me asking, Does this happen like a lot? I mean, did because you said you mentioned you had girls. Did something like this happen to you? Does this happen to a lot of women? Because I've heard the term postpartum depression, but I don't know if every woman gets it. Is it like, is it like out of if 100 women have a child, what's the percentage of them having postpartum depression? Is it low?
It
Are there other factors involved in it? Is it
it's
home
it's
life?
it's about, 10 to 15% of women, um, develop postpartum depression. It's not everyone, but I will tell you this, postpartum depression is one of the leading, if not the leading cause of death due to pregnancy. So take that snake oil. Even if it's snake oil, don't you wanna do something about that?
Wow, yeah, wow, that's a really so a lot. Wow,
It's
I've
that
not.
serious. It's that
Yeah,
serious, and that's why to have a medication, no matter how you feel about it, for those who need it, it is, you know, an amazing thing to have.
yeah. I mean, look, it's not going to happen. It's not every medicine's not going to work for everybody. I mean, good lord, I know that firsthand. But if you have 100 people on there and they all have it, and then you introduce a medicine into it that maybe can help 15 people out of 100. By God, you're gonna develop that medicine that can help the 15. It's better than sitting on your ass and doing nothing. So and then yeah, I'm about that. I'm all about that. It may not work for everybody every time, but at least you give them somebody a fighting chance, and that's really all you can hope for. It doesn't always work. It doesn't always work. Medicine's not miraculous.
No, and
Um,
as I mentioned before, always with these medications, you want to be combined with therapy
yeah,
and, other treatment is should be a well-rounded thing. When I say treatment, I'm not just talking about medication. I'm talking about, therapy, support groups, those things are all a big part of it. So treatment should be well-rounded. But, in cases, therapy isn't always going to work by itself and medication is needed, and
this
it
is
is
this
critical for some individuals.
um this is amazing. I thank you so much for sharing this. Thank you for answering my questions.
Sure.
I know, right? We go for songs and end up with postpartum depression, but it's all about learning. If we can, I'm always curious, so that's why I ask the questions. I just have, I'm just curious. My curiosity is always off the chart. Um, but I tell you what, I'll let you have time for one more song to take us out on, and you can have the floor, and you can tell us what song you're gonna sing, and then we'll go ahead and let you go. I'm sorry that John didn't show up for this, but I know he'll be watching the replay, so I'm not too worried about that.
Yeah, I don't know because whenever I log into one of these shows like yours or Johnny's, you know, it it puts a different name up for me, like depending on what account it decided to log me in with. And sometimes it just says Facebook user and yeah, and I can't, it'll look like there's two people watching and I know there's not. So it's
Oh
I
yeah.
don't know. He may be here, who knows? I'm gonna end things the way I hope to end, um, hopefully our next meeting, if not a future one. Um, and this is a thank you and a message to the clinicians that, come and, attend our meetings or even, use our online educational tools. But for the clinicians that put in the effort to make sure that they are up to date on their knowledge as far as, what's the best practices and guidelines for diagnosis, for treatment, what's the newest things we're learning about neurobiology, because in order to do the best for their patient, they need to know that information. But it does take work, it does take effort, and so I just appreciate, the clinicians that do put in that effort and that work to make sure they are on the top of their game, whether they get their education from us or from another CME provider. I just really appreciate all of them, and they are the ones that are the gold star clinicians. Those are the ones you want. Those are the ones you want if you're, looking for a mental health professional to, to help you. So this song goes out to them, and it's kind of a remember your why. You know, I we have our clinicians sitting through about 5 days of back to back lectures with all this neuroscience going on. It's not, easy. We try to throw in songs to make it a little more fun. Um, but this is my thank you to them. So hopefully this works. Thank you all for coming to these talks. These were way more than just some talks. You weren't sure just what to do. You learned intently right on through. See that clinician to your right. You both were here to fight the fight. The bottom line is care supreme. There is no wonder why you came. You will not go wrong. That's someone's friend who's suffering with mental illness. So you have studied hard with them in mind, so you'll know how to save a life. Ignorance was put to rest, 'cause now you know what might work best. Knowledge is your best defense to improve lives of your patients. So many times we get care wrong, but now your knowledge base is strong, knowing more than you knew, and advances that are coming through. You will not go wrong. That's someone's friend who's suffering with mental illness. So you have studied hard with them in mind, so you'll know how to save a life. Knowledge wins, so let's rejoice. You know all options to make the greatest choice. It's an ever-evolving road. Updates to the guides we follow. Improving one or two things, but do your patient everything. Think of all the lives you've changed, and there will be no wonder why you came. You will not go wrong. That's someone's friend who's suffering with mental illness. So you have studied hard with them in mind, so you know how to save a life. You will not go wrong. That's someone's friend who's suffering with mental illness. So you have studied hard with them in mind, so you know how to save a life. How to save a life. Now go and save a life.
Mm.
I'll stop it there.
Oh, that's awesome. Well done. I like the last
That is
line.
truly how I feel, and that is why I do what I do.
Yeah, that's gotta be someone. That's gotta be such a rewarding and satisfying, for a job. I mean, to be able to go out there and teach teach the helpers. I mean, that's just I envy you. I do. I envy you. I think you got a great job, and thank you for what you do. You're teaching the next generation of doctors to go out there and stay in touch with their souls and stay in touch with their hearts, and you know, that's really it's important. Too many doctors that didn't come out there and start looking for that country club or the they stress out about student debt or what have you, and they sort of forget sometimes about the patient. So it's nice to know that they're being taught to it's okay to lead with your heart. It's okay to think with your heart, and not be so clinical all the time.
Well, they
I think
need to be clinical, but, you
they
know,
they
every
need
once
to
in
have
a while, it's nice to get a reminder of the why of what you do
the
and the appreciation for doing it.
yeah, yeah, I agree with that. Uh, Thank you for coming out and hanging out with us tonight. I really deeply appreciate it. I had a great time. Thank you for answering all the cool questions. Give us an education. This will be great. This will be really fun on a replay. People will come by and listen to this, I hope, and gain something from it. I want to thank the chat for coming out and hanging out. Our good friend Alicia, aka Snow, in the house, along with Katie and Steven. And who else came out? Hopefully John will be out here. Oh, Steven was here all. Holy cow! Our good friend Steven was here for the whole show. I appreciate that, Steven. And we will be back on Tuesday night at 8 o'clock. We'll be talking to Rob Merritt. Or if you don't have anything you're doing tonight, you can come back in about 30 minutes or so, and me and Casey will be doing a Have Cheetah Will Watch Party, and we will be watching a movie called The Amazing Bulk. And believe me, after I was scared to death of watching this movie, Debbie, I was thinking, "Oh my God, this is like gonna be like the worst movie on the planet." It looks absolutely the worst. But then I saw a movie called The Neon Demon, and now I'm sort of looking forward to watching this movie because that movie it can't be any worse than what I watched last night. It just cannot get any worse than that. But we're gonna be watching The Amazing Bulk, and that will start at 10 o'clock at Eastern Time, 7 o'clock Pacific. Um, and we will have you come back. Definitely want to have you come back. I would
Alright,
love to
yeah,
have you come.
happy to, it's been fun.
This was a lot of fun, and we'll do it again. Uh, let's see. Let's see. Lazy Cheetah is on that Neon Demon. I watched it. I watched that. It was horrendous. Yes. Oh man, that movie sucked. Oh, it's yeah. It's see Snow saying that. Thanks, Snow. See, I said that, and other people were like, "Why don't you? Why did you hate that movie?" Watch the movie and you'll totally understand it. All right, stay right where you're at, Debbie. I'm going to say goodnight to the chat, and we will see you at 10 o'clock with
Hey,
me and
hey, just
Casey.
one thing. I just saw a comment from Snow about, "Are we
Uh-huh.
any closer to a solution for Alzheimer's?" Yes, 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 yes. We have, 2 immunotherapies that, have been approved that, do alter the pathology, so slow the disease down. They're not perfect, but it's a great start. So, yes, just wanna get that in.
That's important. That's important. Next time you come back through, we'll probably going to talk a little bit about that too, since that affects so many people. I don't mind mixing songs with the science. I do appreciate it. I think it makes for an interesting discussion. That's for sure. Oh, look who here. Johnny B. Late is here. Johnny. So you finally made it. Work had an outing. He was sitting. You know, I know where he was at. He was sitting over
Yeah,
there.
now he's
He
hanging
was.
with Manny, gotta love the
He was.
mustache.
Yeah, he was hiding because he knew damn well that, especially since Steven is here as well, that we were going to get him to say Spookala. And he said, hell no to that. I'm going to stand in the corner. I'm not going to let that guy make me say Spookala and make me drink. But we will have Dr. Dam back. Doc Dam will be back soon. Maybe next time I'll have you and John together on the same show. That would be a great time, and we'll talk. We'll talk. That's right. Prepping for Spookala. He says, John says the pumpkin patch in, oh, no signal. Yeah, you got lucky this time, mister. But we'll get you. We'll get you. We'll get you and Raji on here um, for the next show. That's for sure. And Bandit, too. All right. That's it for us. We will talk to you at 10 o'clock for the amazing. See, no Spookala for you. No Spookala for you. All right. Stay right where you're at, Debbie. We'll see you guys at 10 o'clock. Thanks for coming.